Now, Anne and I have been chatting over recent weeks just about some of the situation that Anne faces as a manager of First Steps Children's Centre. And I thought it'd be really good to hear as a church a bit more about that, so that we could pray about that and pray about the bigger picture as well as the locality. So Anne, come and share with us what you'd like to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Obviously, I've been aware this is happening, but just as we were singing earlier on and thinking about that thought about Jesus being king, and obviously linking up with what I knew I was going to talk about, I just think, yes, we just want him to be king in our community here, don't we? Yeah. When Richard and I talked about this, Richard said, well, what can we as a church do to help? And I just had to say, pray. So we decided it would be good if perhaps I shared a little bit about what's going on. So many of you will have picked up from the Chronicle and other media and things that the children's centres in Bath and North East Somerset are under, or have been under threat of a 40% cut next year. Thank you. That is now actually slightly reduced, and on Thursday this week I had the joy of sitting in through a very boring council meeting, or most of it was, and out of that they've actually now sent the Lib Dems, the sort of ruling group, to go back and see if they can find a little bit more money, which is a step in the right direction, but there will still be cuts. We all know that's happening right across the country, and but what really I want to ask you to pray about essentially is that we have really the best possible outcomes for the families here in the light of those cuts. But one or two of you may not know too much about children's centres and the sort of work that we do. So I thought I ought to start with that. So what sort of services for families do children's centres offer? What groupings of people do we work with? Because I'm involved in the children's centre here, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. So all sorts of different groups. So sometimes it's families, usually it's families coming to us and saying, I need a bit of help with. And for most families, at some point, there is something that they need help with. For some families, that needs to be longer input. Sometimes it's just something that just a short, few visits will help them sort out. So children's behaviour is one of the key things that people come up with. That's the most frequent thing that people ask for help with. How do I manage my child's behaviour? And the next one is, how do I get my child to sleep? So we'll do things like work. We do some parenting courses. We will also work individually with families. Comes next. Routines and things is closely linked to that as well, because that helps establish sleep routines and play, and so forth. Play. Again, hopefully many of us in here will have had really good childhood experiences, parents who played with us and spent time with us, and we need to emphasise that, because that's not true of all families. And if you haven't experienced it yourself as a child, then you don't necessarily know that's important for your own child when you become a parent. And we also talk with families about ideas for activities and things that they can do with things that they have in the home or that are very cheap, so they haven't got to go out and spend lots of money on expensive toys. Cooking and budgeting, that's another different area. I'm going to whip through these. Emotional help, we don't get, if people have really got in real emotional difficulties, mental health issues, we pass them on to other more specialist people. But often people just need a little bit of support and encouragement, and that makes all the difference. Again, with people, things like domestic violence, substance misuse, drug addiction and things like that, it often takes somebody to come alongside a family, alongside a person, and encourage them to get it sorted out. And again, we refer to more specialist agencies, but often we'll do things like just come alongside people and take them to those first few appointments to help them get their lives sort of organised in the right order. separated families, young parents and parents of young babies, because you have a baby, they don't come with a manual. It's definitely you are thrown in the deep end to get on with looking after this child and cope. And so that's a key area, helping people to sort of start off in the right way with their babies right from day one. And also parents and children who have disabilities. So what's the current situation? So at the moment, there are 11 children's centres across Bath and North East Somerset altogether. 9 of them are run directly by the local authority. 2 of them are run by First Steps, the organisation that I work for. And here in Twerton, it's First Steps who run the children's centre here. And we run the children's centre here both from our site in Dominion Road, sort of behind the foyer building, and thank you. And also from the building up at Woodhouse Road on the corner where the junior school is. We are a charity, and it's an opportunity for me to say thank you as well, that out of your giving to the church here, there are a number of different charities that the church then gives money to, and we are very grateful as First Steps that we're one of the charities that you as a church give to, so thank you for that. And also something that people don't know about First Steps often is that actually we're one of the largest charitable employers in Bath. So we employ around 60 people. It hovers around that sort of number. So what's the proposal for the future? That there should be 3 what they're calling hub centres. So there would be 1 for the Keynsham-Chew Valley area, 1 for Midsummer Norton and Radstock, and then there would be 1 for Bath. This is the latest, and it can change yet. There are a lot of unknowns. But we also don't know who would run those. Because what will have to happen, or is very likely to happen, is that once they've actually decided on the model that they want, the pattern that they want across the whole authority, it will then be put out to tender. And as First Steps, we will be one of the organisations that will tender to run those services. But we could be. There could be we know that there are quite a lot of organisations who are interested, and there are very big charities who run children's centres across the country, and we could be up against them tendering as well. And obviously, because they're very big organisations, obviously they can run it economically because of that. My concern, and this is a personal view, is that if that should happen, everything is imposed from a central place, and it's to a pattern and standard, and so the local flavour is lost and the ability to actually respond to actually what the need is locally. And the other area, of course, is that inevitably there is going to be reduced funding. So it's how we can actually deliver these services in the best possible way with less money. So what to pray for? As I've said at the beginning, really want to pray for the very best outcomes for families across the whole local authority, but especially here in Twerton, because it is recognised that there are in this area more needs than any other in amongst families here. We really want wisdom for the councillors as they make decisions.
You have to press your button.
Oh, so sorry. Wisdom for the councillors as they make decisions, and also wisdom for us as sort of managers of children's centres to actually give them the right information and advice. There were 1 or 2 things, even on the meeting on Thursdays. I've been to quite a few council meetings now, and I'm learning a lot about how they work. But some of it is a little bit of a mystery. But we need to know what information we need to give them, what they don't know, and what gaps we need to fill in, so they have a clear understanding. We, as managers over the whole authority, again, we need now to begin to plan for change, because there is going to be change, because the funding will be reduced. It will be a different pattern in the future. And part of that is being very aware of supporting staff with change. As soon as these things are mentioned, people feel unsettled, and we really want to give them a real support that we can. And finally, I would like to pray that if, at the end of the day, the contract to run the children's centre services in the area goes to somebody else and not First Steps, I think we really need the grace to see that that is a better way, has been decided as a better way forward, and we'll accept that graciously. So, just to mention as well, two things to mention. I thought I'd just give you a picture of some children, just to remind us who are at the heart of all of this, and also to say that I've just brought some of our First Steps leaflets, which I've put at the back. If anybody would like more information, or if you have anybody that you think that the leaflet would help, please take some at the back and pass them on.